hospital 25 years ago, and the time before it was a very conventional hospital in Berlin, and then the government of Berlin has asked us to transform this hospital in a hospital of integrative and complementary medicine, and especially in hospital for anthroposophic medicine. And then we have done this and have started with this approach in 1995. Now we have a growing hospital with today about 400 beds and surgery, internal medicine, pain treatment, palliative medicine, oncology, gastroenterology, pneumology, and obstetrics and gynecology, and a lot of special departments and wards. And now it's really important for us to show that it is possible to have an anthroposophic hospital in the normal medical world of Germany. And we are very happy that it is acknowledged and that a lot of patients are interested in anthroposophic treatments, even cancer treatments. This means, of course, visceral treatments, and of course, eurythmy and art therapies and psychotherapies and anthroposophic body therapies. All these different kinds of therapies are in a way composed in the treatment of different patients. And we have about 10,000 patients each year. And for my person, I'm now here in Berlin for 1 week each month. And 3 weeks, I'm working in the Goethe-Arnum, in the board, in the Vorstand, in the medical section. And because of this, I have a very mixed life, but it's really interesting. And I feel that it's really helpful to have, on the one hand, a very practical life to treat patients and to come in contact with patients. And on the other hand, to have the opportunity to build the anthroposophic medicine, to develop anthroposophic medicine, and to be involved in teaching anthroposophic medicine all over the world in non-pandemic times, of course. Now it's a Zoom instrument we use for a lot of conferences, but we hope that we have in September our annual conference at the Goethe-Arnum, and this means that we have hopefully 800 to 900 participants from all over the world to be aware about the anniversaries of anthroposophic medicine, because we have 100 years anthroposophic hospitals, we have 100 years eurythmy therapy, and we have 100 years anthroposophic remedies. And these are 3 very huge anniversaries, and we have to celebrate all these 100-year birthdays in the Goethe-Arnum with a lot of participants and friends all over the world coming to the Goethe-Arnum. And now I will start with some reflection about this very deep topic. What is the influence and the efficacy of light to our health? What is the inner influence of the light to our soul, to our spiritual being? And what is the difference between the outer light coming to us via the sun and the inner light starting from our inner mental and spiritual activity? And both lights are very important for our development, for our health, for all our being in our incarnation. And if you look at our relationship to the sun, we have a really disturbed relationship. We are so convinced that it is really useful to protect us for the sunlight, and we feel an inner fear if we are looking at the light, and we have to create in you a healthy relationship to the sun, because we should know that, of course, we know a certain connection between sunlight on the one hand and cancer, skin cancer on the other hand, but we know a lot of other findings, and a very old finding is documented by a very interesting scientist named Peller, that those who have enough sunshine and even develop skin cancer have a lower risk for other cancers in the body. And now we are convinced that light has, in a way, a healing efficacy, that light is, in a way, helpful to reduce cancer risk. And we know a lot of relationships between cancer on the one hand, the immune system on the other hand, other inner conditions of our body with the light. And the light is not only a pathologic or disease-causing quality, but light is capable to heal. And I will bring you some ideas what is the healing influence of our light, and not only the disease-causing influence of light. Because of this, we should be aware that we need a new development, a new step in our relationship to the sun and to the light we get from the sun. And on the other hand, we know the inner light coming out of our mental and meditative work. And this light has, in a way, healthy effects on our body. And we have a large and huge literature about the healing properties of meditation. And it's really interesting if you look at the inner being and a deeper understanding of meditation, then you have in the book from Rudolf Steiner, How to Achieve Higher Knowledge, a very nice explanation what is meant by meditation. And meditation means the inner path from the life, our living in thoughts, to our life in spiritual beings. This connection from our inner life in the world of thoughts towards the life in the world of spiritual beings is the inner attempt or the inner way of meditation. You can say, in a way, it's a way to the inner light. And on the other hand, you have a certain orientation to the healing processes. And it's really interesting that in the same time Rudolf Steiner has started with Ita Wegmann together the hospital in Alzheim, a lot of meditations for patients were given. And you see that anthroposophic medicine overarch the remedies on the one hand, the art therapies on the other hand, and even meditations for patients, because meditations are in a way important to increase and to foster the healing processes in the human being. And then you may be aware of the in connection between the word meditation on the one hand and medicine, because the word medicine comes from the Latin word which is near the term meditation. And so you have in the world of meditation a certain polarity. One quality is connected to the inner light, and this means the path of meditative work to the higher worlds, to the spiritual world, to the world of the light, of the inner spiritual light. And on the other hand, you have the connection to the life process, and this is the healing world. And to both directions, meditation is in a way related. And if you will understand this from a deeper viewpoint, then you can say the Michaelic direction is the direction to higher knowledge, to the deeper connection with the spiritual world. This part of the meditative ability or the meditation, and the other way related to the healing forces is the Raphaelic way, and both are connected one to another. And so you have on the one hand the outer light and healing aspects of the outer light, and on the other hand you have the inner light, the inner sun, which radiates to the spiritual world on the one hand and fosters and reinforces the healing properties of our etheric organization. And so we can differentiate some different qualities of light, because if you look at the outer light, you have in a way a physical light. You can measure the physical light in candelas or with other instruments, and you have the physical aspect of light. And Rudolf Steiner calls this light the mineralized light, a certain dead light, a physical light. And then you have another quality of light, and this quality of light is the living light. If you look at the sun and the sunshine coming to the plants, then you have the phenomena of photosynthesis, and all life processes are related to the light. And because of this, you feel a certain second quality of light, not connected to the physical world, but now to the etheric world. And life is reinforcing the etheric forces in the etheric world. And a very beautiful example for this is the light, the sunshine to the plants. And then, of course, you have a third quality of light, and this is the soul light, the light in the soul. And you need patients or other persons, of course, which depression, which feel a certain darkness in their soul. And on the other hand, we feel the light in our soul. And so you have different colors, a changing light in the soul. And we have not only the physical light, we have in the same way the living light, and from the third aspect, the soul light. And then you have the deep spiritual light. If you look at your thinking, if you are connected with the world of truth and the spiritual world, then another light shines. And this is the light of the spirit, the spiritual light. And so you have to differentiate different kinds and qualities of light. One, the physical level on the one hand, then the living light as a second level, then the soul light and the spiritual light. And if you are looking at these different qualities, then you can see the inner connection which these qualities have to the human being. And I will give you a certain overview about the threefoldness of our human being in connection to the light, because we need this to understand what are the healing influences of light, of the outer light in our organism. And on the one hand, if you have the nerve sense system and the metabolic or limb system, then you have the development of light in the upper sphere. This is in a way the consciousness and the world of light, and you can name this, of course, the nerve sense system. And there inner light appears, the light of our thoughts, the light of our thinking, and in our thinking, spiritual light is shining if new ideas, new concepts, new perspectives are developing. And on the other hand, you have the life, and the life is related not to the nerve sense system, but to the metabolic limb system. And you have the quality of light in the upper parts of our organism, and you have the other quality of life in the lower parts of our organism, inner organs, the liver or other metabolic organs. And in the middle, you find the and warmth is in a way is very important quality which is capable to connect the spiritual world of light with the bodily world of life. And because of this, warmth is in a way a moral quality which is capable to connect these both situations. And the heart, our heart, is not only our inner sun, but in the same way radiates light and warmth. And this is very interesting that you have a metamorphosis of the light forces on the one hand to the light forces on the other. And if you are looking more in detail, which organs are really related to the light and which organs are related to the warmth, then you can read a very important description given by Rudolf Steiner in the lectures Occult Physiology in Praha, 1911. And in this lecture, Rudolf Steiner pointed out that the light is in a way connected with our pineal gland. And on the other hand, our life processes are connected with our pituitary gland. And this means that you have in the nerve system two qualities. On the one hand, you have the pineal gland, the gland which secretes melatonin, but during daytime the serotonin, even remedies we use in medicine. And on the other hand, you have the pituitary gland, which is capable to orchestrate all life processes in our body. And in the middle, you have a structure which is rhythmizing the whole rhythmic system of our body. And the rhythmic system is related to this nucleus, and it is a very complicated name. Nucleus suprachiasmaticus is the Latin word for this, but this is really important because the nucleus is in a way the heart of our rhythmic system and deeply connected to the sun. And the sun radiates via our eyes to this region and coordinates the rhythmic system of our whole body. And because of this, we have from the viewpoint of our etheric organization, on the one hand, the pituitary gland orchestrating the life processes, and on the other hand, the pineal gland, which is related to the light. And balancing both qualities in a rhythmic way, you have this center of our rhythmic system. And the warmth is this element in our body which is capable to integrate the different, now we say, clocks in our organs, in our muscles, in our livers, in all our organs are rhythmic structures which have to be integrated in the whole rhythmic systems, and the integrating quality is the warmth. And now you see a very important picture, transforming, metamorphosizing the life into the light of the upper parts of our organism. And probably most of you know that Rudolf Steiner has called this transformation from life to light as the etherization of the blood, and the door, the threshold in which this etherization takes place is the warmth of the heart. And now you have, in a way, the first picture about light in connection to life. And we will start now some considerations. What are the healing influences of the light in our threefold organism? And this means that we have to question what is the healing influence of light to our nerve cell system. And it's so amazing that we know that our cognitive abilities depends on enough sunshine. If we don't have enough outer light shining to us, then our cognitive capacities decline. And even Alzheimer and other dementia diseases are related in a way to sunshine. We need the sunshine for our inner thinking, and we need the inner life to have to practice our thinking to reinforce or to give our nerve system, our brain, healing forces. And we know that meditation is capable to rebuild and to heal and to give healing, to improve healing forces in our brain. And we know really typical findings which are related with meditation and are in a way the consequence of meditations in our brain and nerve system. And so you see the inner relationship between the outer light on the one hand and the inner light, the thinking on the other hand. Both are in a breathing process and comes together. And Rudolf Steiner has spoken that the inner quality of our thinking is light, and the inner quality of the sunshine is the thinking of the world. And both qualities are in a way coming together in a breathing process, the outer light and the inner light, and our inner health of the nerve cell system depends on these qualities of light. And we know, on the other hand, a lot of other diseases, neurologic diseases like multiple sclerosis, which are related to sunshine. And we see we need sunshine, and we have to heal our disturbed relationship to the sun, because sun protection and sunscreens are in a way hindering and not very healthy means to protect for the sun. We have to develop a friendly relationship to the sun. And if you look not only to the nerve cell system, but in the same way to the rhythmic system, then it's so amazing that we know a lot of influences of the sunlight to our rhythmic system, concerning blood pressure, concerning the health of our cardiovascular system. And we know that these effects of light are not based on vitamin D3. And it's very important that vitamin D3 is not describing the whole working of the sun. It's only a very small aspect of sunlight, and we lot in huge number of papers and studies which shows that vitamin D deficiency is in a way associated with a lot of diseases, but we know at the same time that substitution of vitamin D is unable to compensate this sun deficiency, and that light is really more than vitamin D. And this is in a way a very important reflection that we know vitamin D is in a way a light hormone. Otto Wolff has described this hormone as a light hormone in our organism, and light and the working of the light and the efficacy of the light includes really more levels than vitamin D. And then we have a lot of influences of the healing forces of sunlight in our body. We know even the liver and the health of liver is influenced by sunshine. We know that a lot of cancers are reduced through sunshine exposure. We know even breast cancer, colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostatic cancer, a lot of very common cancers are in a way influenced, the risk is influenced by sunshine. And we see that the transformation of sunshine in the living and healing forces is a very well-known situation. And we need this new relationship to the sun, which is in a way not only the planet which gives us our light for our consciousness, but in the same way which is improving our healing forces. And Rudolf Steiner has spoken about the healing properties of sunlight, even related to immune system and the disposition to infective diseases. And we have some scientific observations about COVID pandemic and sunlight. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Even autoimmune diseases, type 2 and type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, all these different diseases are related to, in the risk, are related to sunshine. And we have to sum this up. We have a relationship between the light and the healing properties in our organism. And now we know in the same way that the inner light, the meditation and the inner work we do, like meditation, is in the same way capable to influence the healing etheric organization. And we know, of course, that thinking is a transformed life force. And for Ita Wegmann and Rudolf Steiner, it was very important to make clear that thinking is a transformed life force, that we have a transformation, metamorphosis of our life processes we can see in the growing of our organism and in the rebuilding and anabolic processes of our organism, in the forces of thinking, these are the same forces. And if we are interested to come in a really close contact to our etheric forces, then we can look at our thinking, and there we will meet the etheric forces. And if we have not a dead thinking leading to a lot of information we are incapable to digest, but if we are in a living way connected with our thinking in a really with warmth, and if we are capable to introduce the will into our world of thoughts, then healing properties can occur and can reinforce the healing forces in our organism. And so we know that meditation is capable to influence some things in the nerve system. We know that even from the American Association of Cardiology, it's recommended meditation for cardiovascular diseases. And we know, of course, the influence for more metabolic diseases. And we have not only the healing influences of the outer light on the one hand, we have in the same way the healing properties of the inner light. And now I will start some reflections to this inner light, because we have had some ideas about the outer light. Now we will change the focus and we will look at the inner light and the healing properties of inner light. And there I will come back to our picture we have already shown, and we will start with this metamorphosis of the life processes on the one hand and the light on the other hand. And this is a really amazing situation, this transformation, because you have, if you add the line in this direction, you have the Mercury stuff written in our body, which transforms life into the thinking forces. And
yes, I know.
We have in the meditation these polarities we have already spoken about: the light on the one hand, and on the other hand, the life. And during daytime, we are transforming the life processes to the light of our thinking and our consciousness. And during nighttime, the inner sun is radiating, and we have the possibility to reinforce our life and healing properties. And this is, in a way, the inner physiology of meditation, that meditation is related to the light of our consciousness, to the life of our organism. And during daytime, during awakeness, we are transforming the life to the light. And during the night, the inner spiritual light is reinforcing the life processes. And this is related to our consciousness, to our higher knowledge in a way. And this is related to the healing processes. And you can say this arrow to the light is in a way deeply connected, if you look at the dimension of archangels, to Michael. And this is in opposite related to Raphael. And you have both qualities in meditation. Each meditation, if you look at the spiritual science, school of spiritual science, or if you look at the Rosicrucian meditation or others, you have the transformation orientated to the light. This is the Michaelic situation, and you have in the same way a healing reinforcement, and this is the Raphaelic situation. And if you are questioning what are the inner qualities really needed for meditation, then we find 5 qualities which are capable to develop the inner light. And I will give you a certain picture, which is, from my opinion, very useful to have in mind for developing the inner qualities of meditation. And of course, you need at the very beginning the capacity of concentration. And we have to deal in our days with so much informations, and we are really unable to handle this overwhelming number of different informations, and we have to develop this inner quality of concentration. And then we need to introduce the will in the inner space of our meditation. And if you look at the very beautiful meditation for the Heilpädagogik, curative pedagogics for handicapped children, and the person which are helping handicapped children, then you have the meditation consisting about a blue circle on the one hand and a yellow point in the middle. And during the meditation, you have to bring the yellow point to the periphery, to a yellow circle, and to change the blue circle to a blue point. And if you are trying this, you see you are really very active with your will in your thinking. You are entering your will in the world of thoughts, in the thinking. And this is, in a way, the next, for my opinion, very important step to bring the will, and this means the warmth, in the world of our thoughts and thinking. And then the next situation is mentioned by Rudolf Steiner, and he describes or answers to the question, what is the inner meaning of meditation? That meditation means increased dedication, increased abandon, in a way, that you develop your feeling to a deep encounter with the spiritual world. And this is a development of our feeling that, in a way, a certain love occurs if you are developing the feeling to a sense organ. And now, if you look at the second verse of our foundation stone meditation, you find the balancing situation of our soul. And in this, we can practice meditation. And it means to open our heart to develop our feeling towards the spiritual world, and to develop the feeling as a certain sense organ which is capable to see with the heart and not only with our eyes. Concentration, first quality. Introducing the will, second quality. Developing the feeling to increase the dedication is the third quality. And then a very important step is the quality of worship and veneration. And Rudolf Steiner speaks sometimes about the inner path of veneration and worship. And you know surely the starting point of his book, How to Achieve the Higher Knowledge. It starts with a door or a gate, probably a threshold of humility. And then through this gate, the path of veneration of worship starts. And worship is a certain opener for our soul to higher knowledge. And we need the capacity, the ability of veneration to achieve new perspectives, new insights, and new higher knowledge. And because of this, I think veneration is really an important topic. And last but not least, you need, after closing the meditation, a certain space of inner calm, a certain a wakefulness, a certain watchful expecting, a certain time in which new ideas can arise, expecting, watchful or alert, expecting, probably is the right term. Alert, expectance. And now you have 5 qualities and you can combine them in a certain way that you can start with the concentration and concentration exercises, then you can go to the will, to develop the inner quality of will, then you can change to the feeling exercises, and then you can go to veneration, to develop positivity, and then you can come to the alert expectance, and this means the deep interest which will come out of the inner world. And it's really an amazing situation that we know from somnologists that the best ideas which arise in mankind come after sleeping, in the morning hours, and not immediately after awakening, but if sometimes has passed, then after coming into the morning procedures, entering the day, then the sky, the heaven is in a way open, and it might be possible that new ideas, helpful ideas, come into our soul. And the concept of the periodic system by Mendeleev, or the Kekulé benzoyl ring, was discovered by Kekulé in a certain situation after sleeping. And this morning quality can develop after meditation. And one really important situation or important efficacy of meditation is that we could be inspired by our inner work. And for my opinion, because Rudolf Steiner has given a lot of meditations for doctors and therapists, and one can question what are the results, but you feel in a way that you can get new ideas, perspectives, you can develop a deeper connection to patients, you can deepen the relationship, even karmic relationship to other persons. And then a very important thing is that meditation is capable to reinforce the healing forces. And all our treatments depends on this inner capacity, on these inner forces coming out of our meditative work. And because of this, all professions born or inspired by anthroposophy have this doubled situation. On the one hand, we need professional competence, of course. And if we are surgeons or other doctors, we need a certain competence to handle and to treat patients. But in the same way, we need a spiritual and ethical competence. And this is the inner need for a spiritual development in both. Since the Christmas conference 23-24, in a way combined the inner way of our inner development with the outer perspectives, with the outer work, in a way with a professional competence. And so we have the possibility to get out of this inner realm of meditation forces and presence. And we could be very thankful if we have to send our thankfulness towards this spiritual world if new ideas, concepts, and perspectives arise in our soul, if a new light is appearing in our soul. And then we have the chance to start again. And probably you know these 5 exercises And if you combine them in a certain circle, then you have the sixth exercise, which is capable to put together the feeling exercise, concentration exercise, and other exercises. And you see a really essential basis, for my opinion and experiences, for meditation are or is the organism of the six exercises. And all these exercises are connected with the light. And this is the reason why I've mentioned this, that you have in a way a certain light circle coming out from this situation. Because if you are thinking, then thinking is related to the light. And thinking in the aspect of its inner, deeper quality is an inner spiritual light. And if you are acting with the will, if you are introducing new thoughts and motives in your deeds, then a light shines in your will, and each deed which we are fulfilled during the day, each will activity is inspired by our thoughts and can enlighten our unconscious world of our will. And because of this, the exercise which is improving our will is even related to a light quality. And then if you look at the feeling, then the developed feeling is capable to see in new light, to come to new experiences, and all inspiration and even knowledge based on inspiration are born out of our feeling, of the developing of our feeling. And if feeling is not only an atmosphere in our soul, but opens our eyes for a new world, even in the other person, in the other patient, then you see with inner spiritual eyes in new light, in the connection to the other human being. And so you have in the same way, in the will the light, in the feeling the light. And if you are capable to develop veneration and an inner positivity in your soul, if you see at the end of the tunnel the developing light, then you have in the positivity, in the veneration, a certain light quality, which is the fourth light quality coming out of these six exercises. And if new ideas can occur or can be developed through our meditation, after finishing meditation, after entering in the normal daily practical life, and then new ideas arise and are developed, then a new light is coming out of the meditation. And now you have a certain figure consisting in two circles, a 5-star, and you can add a certain point in the middle. And then you have the circle and the point, and this is the sign for the sun. And you can be aware that these 6 exercises are deeply related to our inner sun, to the heart we have in our body, in our rhythmic system, and in the same way in which the outer sun is shining, is giving us the light and the warmth and the life. The inner sun, and this means our heart, is shining in light. It's radiating light, warmth, and reinforcing life processes. And so you have a certain situation which is related to the meditative way of life, and you can feel that meditation is connected to the inner light, like the sun is connected to the outer light. And if you are interested, what are the healing properties of meditation, then we have not only the consequences for our soul, and we have mentioned the new ideas, we have mentioned the deepening in the encounter to other persons, to come in a deeper encounter with others, even to other beings in nature, to the realms of plants and something like that for therapists and medical doctors. And third, we've mentioned the inner healing forces which are reinforced by our meditation work. Then we can ask, what is the healing influence of meditation for our body? And there we know a very important relationship which makes clear the healing effects of this inner meditative light to our bodily healing forces. And if you feel the inner situation in the soul, the anxiety, even the fear, or a lot of doubts concerning the inner meaning of lifespans and something like that. We have so many patients which are suffering from a loss of meaningfulness in their life. They can't see any fruitful perspective or inner meaningfulness in their biography, and there are a lot of doubts which are in a way developed in the soul. And when then through new ideas occur, if meditation is capable to be the inner source for new ideas which can radiate a certain light into the soul, then an inner calming, an inner stabilizing of our soul occurs. And this means that if we have new perspectives and if we have new beliefs, and this means perspectives on which we can believe and base our life, then these new beliefs and spiritual perspectives are capable to heal our soul, to overcome our doubts in our soul, our inner anxiety, and something like that. And because of this, the inner light coming out of meditation is helpful for the healing processes in our astral body, in our soul. And if we are looking at a second level, then we can see that the inner love we can feel and which is developed out of the meditation, because meditation is increased dedication. Meditation needs a certain love and warmth. Otherwise, we have not the transformation from a thinking in our head to a thinking with our heart. We need this warmth and this love. And if this warmth atmosphere is entering our soul, is a certain deep love is developing to all beings around of us, then love is capable to heal our etheric body. If we feel hate and stress, we are destroying our healing forces, our etheric forces. But the opposite is, if we have a certain inner atmosphere and feeling of love, then love can heal and improve our healing forces. And in palliative medicine, we have so nice experiences that if you are warmly interested to a patient, and if you are really interested to his situation, And if you are developing a warm encounter, then this has positive consequences for the healing processes. And this means that healing is depending to the inner quality of love. And last but not least, if you are encouraged by new thoughts, by new meaningfulness in your life, by new ideas, if you are developing ideals and the warmth of ideals, then new hope arises. And hope is really a prominent healing force. And if you look in the scientific literature in PubMed or Medline or other sources, then you can see the new term signs of hope. And this means that hope is capable to improve our healthy situation. And for my opinion, for ethical reasons, it's really impossible to destroy the hope for patients, because of course our life ends with our death, but we can develop the realistic hope to approach new steps in the way of our healing, even in serious situations. And we have to improve and to help patients to develop a new hope in even severe diseases and even severe prognostic illnesses. And now you see that the inner consequences of our meditative work, or if we are introducing patients to meditation, and I have done this very often in my practical life, and I feel such a huge thankfulness if one has the courage to give patients some ideas fitting to their interests about what is the inner importance of meditation in combination, in the composition to other or with other healing properties like art therapies, remedies, or something like that. And so you see that we have a healing spirit coming out of our meditative work, healing and developing our soul, our thinking, our feeling, our will, and then with new forces which are related to our beliefs, to our love and to our hope, even our bodily spheres, our bodily levels are reinforced in their healing properties. And because of this, Rudolf Steiner has named the astral body in the same way the belief body. And he has spoken about the etheric body as the love body, or the physical body as the hope body. And so you see that you have, on the one hand, the inner development of meditation towards the light of the spiritual world. And on the other hand, you have the reinforcement of the healing properties, the healing forces, the life forces. And meditation has these two directions to the path to achieve higher knowledge on the one hand, and the inner healing forces, the life forces in our organism. And I will give you a certain meditation which is very useful for a huge number of patients, even with cardiologic or cardiovascular diseases. And this is a meditation given by Rudolf Steiner to the mother of Ita Wegmann. And I remember it was November 1924. In this month, Rudolf Steiner gave a certain meditation to Ita Wegmann's mother. And this meditation is related to the topic we have discussed today, to the light on the one hand, to the life on the other hand, and it's related to the sun, and it is related to our human sun, and this is our heart. And if you look at the deep connection between heart and sun, probably you know that in old Egypt times, there was a certain description linking the sun to the pulse wave of our cardiovascular system, of our heart. And in this way that it was described that the sun is in a way the pulse of our human heart. And since a long time, several cultural periods, we know about the inner experience about the sun on the one hand and the heart on the other. And now I've mentioned this, we know the healing properties of the sunlight, even for our cardiovascular system. We know this inner relation. Our heart is capable to radiate light, to radiate warmth, to have a rhythmic structure, and to reinforce life. We need our blood to support our life processes. And the same qualities are coming out from the sun, shining, giving us the light, giving us the warmth, and helping us to reinforce the life forces in nature, but in the same way. And I hope you could understand this even in our human body. And I will say you this meditation given by Rudolf Steiner in the late year 24, and it starts, when I look into the sun, its light speaks radiantly to me of the spirit that full of grace through world existence works. Sun, you bearer of radiance, the power of your light on matter conjures life from out of earth immeasurably rich depth. When I feel into my heart, the spirit speaks its own word of the human being that it loves through time and all eternity. Heart, you bearer of the soul, the spirit power of your light conjures life out of human beings' immeasurably deep inwardness. I can see, looking upward to the sun's bright orb, the mighty world heart. I can feel, looking inward to the heart's warm life, the ensouled human sun. And here you feel the connection, heart and sun, the power of the sun transforming life to light, and in the opposite, the relation from light to life. And all we have spoken about meditation, we have spoken about the transforming quality of etherization of the blood in the threefold organism, is in a way combined or put together in a very beautiful way in this meditation. So I think we have started with the need to create a new and fruitful relationship to the sun. And we can deepen this relationship via this meditation. And it leads us to a deeper understanding of the sun, of the spirits of the sun, of the spiritual world, and can improve and reinforce our healing forces in our etheric organism. Now, this is, are some thoughts about the healing properties of the inner and the outer light. And I thank you very much for your attention and that we can have this talk together. Thank you so much.
Dear Matthias, thank you so much for your wonderful and intense presentation. Dear friends, here is a proposal to take a break, 3-5 minutes, stretch your legs and have a sip of water. And come back with your questions because we need it. Thank you. So we're going to be back like in 4 or 5 minutes. Thank you. Dear Matthias, how do you feel about everything? Are you good? You're good and fresh.
Now, I see some questions in the chat. And probably I can start with the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, dear Matthias, let me just make announcement and let's make sure everybody are back.
Okay.
And yes, dear friends, we are back. So we moving in our question and answer section. And for this particular sections, we're going to use chat window. It is not necessarily to type all your long question, but you can just type a Q and dot. So whole meaning is, so we need to create a virtual line of questions, so chronologically. So, and as soon as it, Matthias will be ready, so we will unmute and we would like to hear your voice. So, and let's see. So So looks like Sandra Vale. No, it's not Sandra. Andrew. Andrew is first. Andrew, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Matthias, thank you very much. I'm delighted I was able to make it today. And as you probably know, Steiner early on in his career referred to the atom as coagulated electricity, and he also called matter coagulated light. Could you comment on the relationship of light and electricity?
Yes, I think that's a very important question, because if we look at electricity on the one hand and light on the other, then there are similar findings, of course. And we use electricity to develop light and to have light. And if we look at the human organism, we have so many fields of electricity in all our cells. We have minus 70 millivolts in nearly in all cells of our organism, and this is changing. And so you can say you have an electricity organism in your body. And the inner situation is that Rudolf Steiner has spoken about the corpse of light is electricity. If you have the dead shadow of light, then this is in a way the electricity. It's dependent, it's not the living force of the light, but the dead shadow of the light. And because of this, we have in a way a relationship between light and electricity, as we have, if we look at the living human being on the one hand and the corpse on the other hand. This is the inner relationship. And of course, electricity is really needed, but even our organism, we have electricity. But I think we should look at this as a certain shadow of the inner light, which is in our organism. And probably you know that Rudolf Steiner has spoken that our organism is capable to produce light, and not phosphorescence or something like that, but to produce light by his own. And this now it's really connected with new findings that we have in our organism a really ultra weak photon emission. And it's really amazing that now we know that in the organism is in a way a field of light. And we have not only the shadow of the light and the electricity of all cells, but in the same way, a certain light, which is in a way produced by the living processes of our organism. And it's really interesting to see what happens if we have cancer, what happens if we have inflammatory processes with this inner light. But the main thing is that the concept given by Rudolf Steiner that our organism can originate, can produce this light is now understandable in a new way. And if we look at the etheric situation, then we have the invisible light. If we look at the light organism, then we have a certain ultra weak light emission in our organism. If we look at the dead shadow of the etheric world, we have the electricity. This is in a way a certain relationship between electricity on the one hand and the light on the other hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Donald Phillips is next. Christina Sophia, you will be after Donald.
Hello, Matthias. Thank you for that very yeah, broad-ranging talk you gave. As you know, Goethe had said, had written, "What is more precious than light?" and then answered it with conversation. And I'm interested to hear from you how you see that, and also specifically not just conversation, but speech and yeah, the therapeutic application of speech as an art therapy.
Yes, I think that's a very important field of our medicine, and we have really to reinforce speech therapy because it's a very human kind of therapy. And now in the medical section we are in the moment very involved in planning and then to publicate a new book about speech therapy, because we have really some scientific evidences about the physiologic functioning of speech therapy. And for a lot of patients, lung diseases, with psychosomatic diseases, even with cancer, speech therapy is a very helpful situation. And speech therapy is engaging and activating the eye organization in the healing process. Because of this, in the 4 different kinds of art therapies, we need the speech therapy. And we are very busy in this field at the moment because we have really the risk that speech therapy is not further available, because we need new therapists and we need a new understanding what is meant with speech therapy and what are the indications for speech therapy. And because of this, I will all of you encourage, if there are therapists or others interested in speech, to look at this and to help how to regenerate this very special and very important art therapy in anthroposophic medicine. And now I have to come back to Goethe. And indeed, Goethe has spoken about the light, and he was really a human being related to the eyes, related to the light. And if one person is really appreciating and even worshipping the light, then I think we have to think about Goethe. And then this nice sentence that the talk or the encountering with the other person is more than light. And I think if you are in the encounter with another person, then you have not only the speech or the different talks you have, but you have, in a way, in the connection to another person, a light quality. And I think in our talks, in our encounters, a certain inner light, a soul light or a spiritual light develops. And because of this, for me, is the encounter with another person, and this is connected to the sentence given by Goethe, is in a way an inner developing light, but not the outer light, but the inner light. And because of this, if the inner aspect is more than the outer aspect, then the inner light is really more than the outer light and even the sun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matthias. Christina Sophia, please unmute yourself. Christina Sophia, can you hear me?
I can just barely hear you. I'm not sure why. Thank you. Thank you very much, Matthias. I just had a question which you have so much answered in so many ways. The power, the depth of relating, the relationship we have to the inner sun, to the Christ sun and our own inner health, our own inner light. If you would add anything else that on that topic, I'd be very interested, especially considering we already went into the realm of electricity and the the shadow aspects. So we have the great sun shadow itself, and the forces of feeling and thinking and willing as they relate to higher consciousness, but this inner sun awakening and our inner soul awakening through this power and art of meditation. If you wanted to add anything else.
Yes. Now, nowadays, we are confronted with artificial lights, and for a long time of our daily life, we are in front of our PCs and screens, and we have to see artificial lights and even blue frequencies and blue qualities in the light. And this is really a challenging situation. And we know that if we are using iPhones or laptops or other devices near bedtime, and if we have blue light emissions, then our sleep is disturbed. And because of this, in this situation, we need the sunshine, we need to go out and to look at the sun and to wander the nature and to come in a closer contact to the sun. And in the same way, we need the connection to the inner sun. And the inner sun, which is enlightening our soul. And I will recommend you, if you are interested to go deeper in this topic, to read the bridge lectures given by Rudolf Steiner, is GA 202. And there, Rudolf Steiner spoke about the ideals. And the ideals, in opposite to our dead thoughts, are in a way capable to reinforce our etheric body. And this is really remarkable that we have, on the one hand, thoughts and dead thoughts, a lot of informations, and these informations are capable to destroy our etheric body. But if we transform thoughts to ideals, and this is mentioned in the first book by Rudolf Steiner about the higher knowledge, in the same way, if we are capable to transform these dead thoughts from the head to the heart, and this means to give them light, warmth, and life, then a new inner quality occurs. At first, the sun is in a way shining from the inner of our human being to other human beings, person, and something like that, and healing properties can occur. And in this lecture, I have mentioned in the bridge lecture, really amazing lectures and very important, I feel. Rudolf Steiner has mentioned if there are only 12 human beings which are capable to develop the inner sun, the inner ideals, moral ideals, and only 12, then the earth could be seen from an outer perspective as a star. And the development of the earth from a nice blue planet to a star which is capable to radiate light depends on the inner light quality in our souls, in our hearts. And if we are practicing such meditation I have quoted at the end of my lecture, or if we are reflecting to the fourth verse of our foundation stone meditation of the Christ Son, then there are inner perspectives transforming our mankind to a contribution for the development of Earth to become a star. And this is, I think, a very important situation, because in the meditation is mentioned that the spirit speaks its own word of the human being that it loves through times and all eternity. And I will add one remark, which is really touching, given by Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner has posed the question, do we know, or do the gods have a certain religion? Of course, we as human beings have a certain religion or different religious systems or something like that. But have the gods religion? And then he points out that the religion of the gods is the developing human being, the developing man. And this is the inner hope of the spiritual world. And in the image I have used from the star, I think the star quality caused by the inner light of hearts and souls and spirits of human being, in a way, the inner fire which brings forces to the religion of the gods and their inner confidence which they have to the human beings.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matthias. Dave Butler. Dave, please unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks a lot. This has been a great talk. It just strikes me that St. Paul talks about faith, hope, and charity. And it seems to me that you're saying that love is the light from the sun. I guess they can't hear me.
No, we can hear you, Dave. What is your question?
That if love is love then is the light from the sun, and then faith and hope are from us, from the moon, from space, from where?
Is your question about the origin of hope, or?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I think I have given to some patients which have lost their hope a certain picture. If you are going the way through a certain disease and you see only darkness, you know new perspectives, then hope is decreased and you feel a loss of hope. But if you use the picture of a clown climbing to a mountain, and there's fog and you can't see anything, and you are losing your hope to reach a certain house or a certain possibility to rest. And if you are getting a certain hint, in only 15 meters, you are unable to see it, but in only 15 meters, there is a house, yeah, there is a resting point, and you will have the chance to achieve it. Then new forces develops. And this means if new ideas and new perspectives are in a way developed in the soul, then they can create a new force of hope. And it's so touching that I've in my life accompanied a lot of dying patients. And of course, there is loss of hope and something like that. But sometimes a new light occurs. And then these patients are in a way teaching us about this new light. And this new light gives them new hope and a new force. And because of this, I'm convinced if we have the right questions, if we are in a way seeking for new light, then sometimes at a certain moment, new light could be found. And this is the inner source or the inner origin of new hope. And it's really touching to see that in the face of dying, in dying patients, you can see not only sadness and loss of hope and something like that, but the origin of new hope, new perspectives. And this is really a great experience, and which is in a way showing us that near the threshold, new light can occur and can help to overcome thresholds in our biography.
Thank you so much. So next question is from Yuri Yurchenko, medical doctor from St. Petersburg, Russia. Yuri, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, please unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Matthias.
Hello, Yuri, fine.
Thank you very much for your inspiring talk. I would like just to add to what you already pointed in your question, that the electricity, Rudolf Steiner says, we produce in our reflective thinking, when we think thoughts which relate to the earthly sphere. So he says, because it is the death process in our nervous system. So, and this is exactly what the electricity is. And now to my question, somewhere Rudolf Steiner mentioned that there are favorable times for what we refer to the moral technology. So in the future, people will use this knowledge because from 6 a.m. to the noon, and from the 6 p.m. to the midnight, there are so-called moral forces are streaming to the earth from the Pisces and from the Virgo. And I wonder if, apart from this resonance technology and the moral technology, you would also consider and tell our friends what you think, whether we can use this time in our day schedule, because in my view, the period between the noon till the 6 p.m. When this unfavorable time comes, it is the time when people's double is very prominent. So it's difficult to deal with people, to negotiate things and to get agreements and so on. So what do you think in terms of your subject, what you delivered us today? What would you say?
Yes, that's a very important and deep question. I would like to focus on this picture of the zodiac you have mentioned with Pisces and Virgo, and with the morning forces and the evening forces. And it's really important that all remedies, anthroposophic remedies, are in a way produced, or in the pharmaceutical process is orientated to the morning forces and to the evening forces, and not to the noon forces or to the midnight forces. And this is in a way connected to the Virgo and Pisces, if you look at the whole zodiac and the autumn point and the spring point and something like that. This is the star picture of, in the way, for my opinion, and understanding the morning forces and the evening forces. And if you look at the second verse of the foundation stone in meditation, then the east and the west is mentioned, and you see that this inner part of our rhythmic system is not so much orientated with the heights and the depth, but more with the eastern and with the western part, with a horizontal line. And you have in your rhythmic system, on the one hand, the vertical line with the light and the life I have mentioned in my talk. And on the other hand, you have the horizontal line, which is the line between center and periphery, and the more horizontal line, and both lines are forming a cross in the threefoldness of our organism. And I'm thinking that we need the morning and the evening forces to augment and to reinforce the healing properties of our remedies, and the Belida remedies and the Vana remedies and the special procedures and pharmaceutical management of remedies are orientated to these different times of our day. And if you are thinking about the moral forces, then we can question, are we in the moment capable to see the first embryonic starting points of these moral forces? Because the huge future picture of moral forces is, of course, a really overwhelming one. But I think if we are aware that we can improve our healing forces through a moral quality, through a spiritual quality, through an inner meditative way. And the way for medical professionalists, doctors, therapists is the Raphaelic way of inner development. Then you have a certain improvement of the healing qualities, and you can feel, even in the experiences with patient, that in inner deepness is entered in our healing processes. And for my opinion, I feel that this is probably a very, very small starting point of this moral quality and in the healing forces. And we need instruments, and these instruments are in a way orientated to the morning and evening forces you have mentioned.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, question from Florian. Florian. Florian, can you hear me? This is Florian Sido.
Hi there.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Hi. Yes, I am here in Hawaii, a little bit different from Europe. We're kind of on the other side of the planet, but this topic, Matthias, that you touched on at the beginning of your excellent talk, you mentioned the pineal gland and referenced Rudolf Steiner's lecture, The Etherization of the Blood. And that in that lecture, at the very sort of heart of it, where he's speaking about this phenomena related to the pineal gland, he mentions that the Rosicrucians investigated the macrocosmic counterpart to this very thoroughly. And I've been kind of looking into what that could mean. We know from many Steiner lectures about the correspondence between the heart and the sun that you also mentioned several times. However, where this corresponding pineal gland is sort of a deep question that comes to, I think, an important focus in our time, because in this etherization of the blood, he describes there is a kind of a battle at the pineal gland that can be resolved by bringing our macrocosmic night journey and our day consciousness into a kind of more harmonious balance. And you could say the morning and evening forces that Yuri just mentioned have to do with this as well. And in the first lecture that Steiner gave at the outset of the Christmas conference, Anthroposophy in the Light of World History, I believe is the name of it. I think it was the 24th of December, Christmas Eve. He begins in the first lecture by mentioning a correspondence that the ancient Indians were oriented to, that saw the earth as a whole related to the human head. And of course, the pineal gland is located at the center of the head. So this sort of led me to this seeing the center of the earth as the place where the corresponding macrocosmic battle is focused. So that just as the day-night rhythm has to do with this microcosmic dimension of heart and pineal gland, there is a macrocosmic dimension of sun as the macrocosmic heart and the pineal gland as this focus at the center of the earth, where there's a battle that one can arrive at through the many places where Steiner speaks of the 9 layers, and the 9th layer is where the evil is focused. But on the other hand, in a conversation that Steiner had with the Countess Kaiserling during the biodynamic course, this was the 28th conversation he had with her. She had a certain clairvoyance and had researched this center of the earth herself and saw it made of gold and having a certain sun quality. And out of this conversation, one can arrive at the understanding that Christ, through the mystery of Golgotha, descended through these layers of the earth and established his throne at the center of the earth. And that brought this future potential for the New Jerusalem, the Golden City, the Jupiter condition to the earth as a kind of seed. But in the second coming that is upon us at this time, where the etheric aura of the earth is involved and Christ has gone through a second death in the realm of the angels, that now there are resurrected thoughts bathing this etheric aura of the earth. But there's a battle between 2 macrocosmic counterparts to the human ego, the Christ as the rightful ruler of this macrocosmic human that encompasses the sun and the planets and reaches out to the stars, and this little microcosmic human being. So my question is, if this research that I've undertaken that looks at the center of the earth as a place where the sun demon and the Christ each have a role, there's a battle there for the future of humanity. And just like the morning and evening forces are important for the rhythm of the day and this battle at the pineal gland, Steiner goes into the importance of the seasonal festivals. In this case, it would be spring and fall, where Michael and Raphael are involved as a focus that we all have to participate in this macrocosmic battle for the future of the earth.
Yes, thank you for your contribution. I can figure out a certain relationship between the heart and the pineal gland, because this is very near to our conference. and very centered in the middle of the anthroposophic understanding of the etheric forces. And at the beginning, I think it's very helpful to make clear that the heart is located in a region where the feeling in the rhythmic system is developed. And if you look at the will, you have a very unconscious quality in the soul. And with the feeling, a new inner light starts and develops. And this is in the rhythmic system, in the middle of the center of the rhythmic system is the heart. And this is the originating or the source of the light. And it's really amazing, but for this we need more time to see that all blood elements and red blood cells coming out of the bone marrow and then from the periphery entering the main vessels leading to the heart, then the blood is in a way undergoing a dying process, and the blood loses his life, and even the red blood cells have no cause in the cells and they are unable to replicate and they have lost their life. And one can question, what is the transformation if life is not anymore visible in this sphere of blood, and now in which it is transformed? And then you see from the inner perspective, the developing feeling, the inner light in the soul. And then you have one organ which is really related to the light, and this is the pineal gland. And it's really amazing to see how the pineal gland develops and the near relationship to the eyes, and that this is in a way is an organ which relates our inner being with the macrocosmic spiritual world. And I'm really questioning if so many patients take melatonin to sleep a little bit better, and in such huge amounts. And melatonin is in a way a certain hormone which has a lot of influencing efficacies in the organism, and in a way it's the hormone of the night, an instrument of our astral body to bring into, for my opinion, understanding, to bring the archetypes, the cosmic archetypes in the rebuilding of our organism to the etheric and physical body during the night and the dream times. And because of this, you have the connection of the pineal gland to the inner light, and it's the activity is structured by the daylight, because the pineal gland is capable to produce the melatonin during dark time, and then the serotonin, it's not the main source of serotonin, but even the pineal gland is capable to produce serotonin too. And this is the day hormone. It is used in psychiatry for the treatment of depressive disorders and something like that. And you have the night hormone, and this is melatonin, and you have the day hormone, and this is serotonin. And now you have the inner connection from one light organ on the one hand to the middle of our head, centered pineal gland on the other hand. And a really amazing situation is that Rudolf Steiner describes the metamorphosis during the reincarnation of the human being. All things which are localized in the lower parts of our organism, the metabolic parts like glands and something like that, are transformized, not from the bodily perspective, but from the inner architecture, from the inner structure, into sense and other nervous organs. And so we have a relationship between the heart and the pineal gland. And this process we have during the awakening during our days, which leads to the etherization of our life forces, to our intellectual and thinking forces. This is in a way a microcosmic picture for the huge transformation of our heart system to the nerve sense system, and especially to the pineal gland. And because of this, this is really a huge topic, and the pineal gland is in a way one part which connects the etheric world of our organism, the inner light, to the macrocosm, and on the other hand, the pituitary gland is orchestrating the life processes, and both are in a way in a certain polarity, that you have the influence from the pineal gland on the one hand and the life processes, pituitary gland on the others, and the connection is very important. And Rudolf Steiner points out that our remembrance and our memory is based on this inner polarity between pineal gland on the one hand and the pituitary gland on the other. A few thoughts to the topic you have mentioned.
Yeah, thank you so much. Here is a raised hand from Fyodor Petrenko. Mr. Petrenko.
Thank you for your talk, Matthias. I have just been reading A Road to Self-Knowledge, and in it, Steiner describes our appreciation of the sun, and he said that the sun itself is appreciating itself. And he said, only when you stop and reflect, that's when you can actually appreciate the sun. Even though you may have this joy, it's actually, you have to stop and reflect afterwards. But when you were talking, you mentioned about breathing. So we're not doing breathing exercises. So how do you get this rhythm if you're not doing the breathing exercises? I understand that Steiner did give some breathing exercises in a personal way, but never to the general public. And so I'm just wondering, is it enough to appreciate the world and then reflect on it? Because this comes in with the philosophy of freedom, thinking about thinking. So I always thought that this was enough, but I guess in a medical way, maybe there is something else that you could add.
Now, I think there are some aspects which could be mentioned to your question. And the first is concerning the breathing. And in older times, breathing was really included in the inner way, in the inner development, and even in the meditative practice. But now we have another period, and you can observe, if you are meditating, that the breathing is changed, and you can influence your breathing by your inner work. And it's really amazing that the inner cardiovascular system and even our respiratory system is influenced by our soul. And if we are meditating, then we have a certain harmonizing of our pulse, of our relationship between breathing and heart. And so I think we have not only a breathing in the air, but we have in the same way a breathing in the light of our thinking. Because if we are connecting our warm thinking, our heart thinking with the world, then we are inspiring with a certain inbreathing or inspiring from the spirit into our soul, and we are expire our soul and are connecting our soul to the spirit. And meditation is in a way a spiritual breathing. And now we have the change from the older times and cultures to the modern times, in which the breathing from the respiratory system is transformed to the breathing of the meditative practices and the inner meditative way. And I would like to give you, to quote another meditation, which is probably meets your question. And this is a very nice meditation because it relates our breathing and our heart with the sun and the warmth of the world. In this meditation, we have recommended in COVID times for a lot of patients, and we have published this meditation in our medical website about in the numbers of articles about COVID pandemic as a spiritual meaning of COVID and something like that. And I think this is a very nice, even short meditation to deepen the relationship of the breathing with the sun and with the heart, the feeling of the heart, with the warmth of the world. And this is probably, we can send to all of you the meditations, probably if you don't know them, because I think they are very helpful. And we have from Rudolf Steiner a lot of meditations which are concerned to the light and to the sun. If you are interested, you can send us a mail to the medical section, because we have published a small booklet about all meditations of Rudolf Steiner related to the sun and to the light. And if you are interested to deepen topic in this field, then you can send us a mail, because it's not available in normal books stores, but we can send you this small booklet. And the meditation is: in my heart, sun strength shines. In my soul, world warmth works. I will breathe the strength of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Sun strength fills me. World warmth penetrates me. This is a beautiful meditation focusing the relation heart and sun and warmth and the feeling and the breathing and the inner connection which is built up through our breathing with the world of the sun.
Dear Matthias, thank you so much. Dear friends, we are working already more than 2 hours, and this is a different time in Berlin. I believe this is 10 p.m., right? So, and I'm wondering if we can conclude our session and say thank you to dear Matthias Girke for his wonderful presentation. And yeah, for now, just please feel free, unmute yourself and wave and say hi, thank you. And I'll see you guys for our presentations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you so much.
For your attention.
Thank
I
you.
would like to thank
Thank you.
I know.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Todor.
Thank you, Andre.
Very good. Thank
yeah,
you.
for those who aren't familiar with
Thank
Matthias's
you.
book, Internal Medicine Foundations, and therapeutic concepts of anthroposophical medicine. It's a very important overview of anthroposophical medicine. It's over like 1,000 some pages. So that's a great contribution that he made. It's available in English since 2016.
Yeah, thank you for this. Yeah. Mhm.
Andre, could you
Yes.
here
Hello,
say,
Helena.
yeah, how can I get the last meditation? I think it is wonderful. I would like to have it. And the meditation what Steiner gave to Ita Wegman's mother.
Okay.
And are they available through you?
You know, I will talk to Matthias, and I hope I can provide you with electronic copy of it so you can print it out and have it.
So I will hear maybe next week from you how you got it, and you will send it.
Well, I will personally email to you, but for all friends, please feel free to contact us. I think you have my email address.
Oh, so I have to write you.
Oh, you have my email address, Helena.
Yeah.
So we were in the communication, so I can email you.
Can you just include everybody in it when you send out your mailing list?
Okay, sounds good. So, but it's a big email list. So we have about 800 people on it. So,
Andre,
but Barbara, why don't you just, yeah, let's do it upon request. So just email it to me, okay? So I will just reply with it. Again, if I will be successful. All right?
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
I have to write you, or you have my email?
I have your email. I have your email.
And you send it to me.
I will send it to you for sure. Yeah.
Funny? You are laughing. You have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Andre, I would like to thank you and the Chicago Society for making these presentations possible.
Is it Florian? Yeah, thank you, Florian. So we're working hard, and I would like to thank everybody. So specifically participants from Hawaii, and from different from different countries. We had some participants from South Africa today, and I'm trying to reach New Zealand. So yeah, thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
This book also talks about the 9 layers of the earth.